starts it when you have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you get no warning. It's just like, boom, podcast starting.
Just like, here it is.
Yeah,
we're on.
Joel stops talking about like KKK stuff or whatever.
That would be false.
The C-bomb.
No more. Well, C-bombs are less offensive in your country than ours. All right, welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. My name's Ben. We're here to talk about shooting. People probably recognize that voice. That's Mr. Joel Park.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
He's like a bad rash. Wait, no, you're like a rash that smells kind of nice. Like I can't get rid of you, but that's okay because you're not really that bad. You know what I mean?
You can't quit me, huh?
I can't quit you. I had to record podcasts without telling you just so I could do a couple without you.
Oh, you jerk. How rude. How dare you, sir?
I know. And say hello.
Doing something more important anyway.
Say hello, new guy. Who's this new guy?
Hello, internets.
Hello,
I'm
internet.
Sean.
You guys have just gotten the internet down in Australia, so it's.
Yep.
How do you like it? Surfing the World Wide Web.
Yeah, we're still 20 years behind you guys, so we'll get there.
All right, so Sean, for people wondering, Sean is you're a master grade IPSC shooter. You shoot production. You don't suck. You train a lot. You're on the program as far as training up all the time. You're doing the dry fire every day, pretty much hitting the range all the time, trying to get better. That's a fair assessment, huh?
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. Yeah.
And you do. I think I mentioned I've talked about your range a couple times on this very program, the City of Brisbane Pistol Club, which you guys run, I think, a fantastic program for matches.
I would agree. I think it's also fantastic.
Is that the one with the night matches that you assign the tee time to?
Yep.
The weekly Tuesday night match with the dual time slot format. Yeah.
Like the staggered starts? Okay.
Staggered start, yeah. We did more of a staggered start. We've kind of catered it now. It's like 2 start times. Just kind of works a bit better for pack up and set up.
Yeah.
Because we're a multi-discipline range, so we got to pull all the crap down when we finish.
Yeah.
So you guys, I should say, if you're interested in their night matches, I have footage of one of them up on Training Group. If you're a Training Group member, you can go find that Brisbane club match. I think I labeled it. It's in the match talk through section just to see it. I mean, and
it was a particularly dark match that night.
It was.
A lot of shadows.
The sun had very much gone down.
Yeah.
And it was dark.
It was dark.
It was like sparks flying out the end of your gun. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah,
this does not seem easy.
We're shooting some spicy ammo too, baby. Let's go. But I think your club's great. I like Sean because he's one of the training people. He hits it hard. So that's why Sean's here. So he shoots okay. He's at a good club. Are you still going to be running matches, participating in that, or?
Yeah, I am. I'll be pretty much. I match director pretty much every Tuesday night, which is a weekly thing, and shoot as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much runs itself now, which is good. Everyone kind of knows what the deal is, so it's pretty good. Everyone's pretty good. But we do, other larger local comps as well, inter-club comps. The Tuesday thing's more like a club member thing. So if you're outside the club, because it's so popular as well, we get like 50 plus shooters in on a Tuesday night weekly. So it's a lot of shooting.
All right. Well, anyway, so that's Sean's resume. That's why he's here. I think he's a good cat. So and maybe you can say some like fun Australian swear words or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. Well, anyway, Sean, you're a show listener, so you know how it works. Everybody comes with a topic. I think Joel and I are kind of doubled up on topics because, it's a doozy. So, Joel, why don't you go ahead and lead off with what you want to talk about? You want to talk about it with me, blah, 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 and that's fine. So let's get into it. What do you got?
Well, we shot 2 section matches back to back on a Saturday and Sunday. They were about 6, maybe 6.5 hours apart. And so I guess before we get to that, like I was already going to these with my homeboys. Well, I was going to go to the state. Our state match, our section match was on a Sunday. So I have to go to that. It's at my club. And then I wanted to go to the Oklahoma section because I went there last year. It was at a different club. And this year it was at Tulsa. And I mean, I like anything. It's U.S. Shooting Academy. Any match they put on is going to be ran well. They have a nice facility. It's fairly easy for me to get to. Like, the place doesn't suck. They had some flooding issues, which luckily they got figured out. Other than that, like, I have no problems at that range. They know how to run matches, and they always run efficiently. So I'm like, if they're holding a match, sign me up. So talked to a couple of my homeboys, Jared and Matt that work for CZUSA, one of their friends, Corey. I'm like, hey, let's go do this. And my friend Cody's like, well, if you're going to do that, I want to do that. So I've got a group of us. So
how many? So you had 5 GMs, was it, together? Yeah. Is that in the group?
Driving, you mean?
Not driving, just on the same squad, because you got this all organized.
Yeah, well, our squad for Saturday I think there was 5 of us, and then Sunday, we had, I think, 8 GMs.
Wait, so we had 8?
Jeez,
oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we had more people there.
Yeah, we had a lot.
We had Craig, we had Jeremy Reed, we had, friend Lane, we had a lot of, we pretty much won all the divisions that matter, other than PCC and Revolver.
Yeah, you said all that mattered. You got it. All right, so does that sound like a good time, Sean? 2 section matches in one weekend?
That sounds, man, we never have that here. There's no 2 matches on the same weekend. You know,
I mean, if you really want to have your mind blown with just how big USPSA is, Sean. So if I go to the USPSA major match results page, it's so June 27th and 28th. June 27th, 28th, and June 30th is when these matches are listed. There was Great Plains section match, Battle for the North Coast, Oklahoma section championship, and Florida section. So in the same weekend within USPSA, it's listing 4 major matches.
That's crazy.
Of which, I mean, yeah, that's just how it works here. There's a lot of big matches.
There's a lot more people too, I think.
Yes, we have a few more people. Less kangaroos, more people. It's kind of how it works here.
Go ahead.
My plan, I should say, Joel, I'm going to jump in here. My plan while you were going to be doing all this was to be in Slovakia doing training. That's where I thought I would be. So I thought I was going to go do the Extreme Euro and then go to Slovakia. My gun permit did not come on the day that I arbitrarily picked that it has to come by. You know? So on May 1, I'm like, nope, no gun permit. Fuck that trip. I'm going to do something else because I don't want to sit here and be uncertain about what I'm doing, and I don't want to borrow a gun for the Extreme. So I'm going to just make other plans, and my other plans, as the show works, like, well, what's my sure thing? I got to call up one of my honeys. Who's the sure thing? It's Joel Park. That's who it is.
I had already invited you before that, you tool, but whatever.
I'm like, oh, Joel's always down for stuff. So Joel, you I don't know, he got me signed up for both these matches so I could jump in with you.
I'd already kind of assembled the cast. Like, there was on one of the matches, I guess it's a different match, where I've got all my homeboys like, hey, this is a squad number on a different match. It's like, hey, at 12 noon, everybody go jump in this squad. So I've got 10 people ready to go. But anyway, so for this one, yeah, I'd already assembled the cast. Like, hey, Ben, you should get in on this. This will be fun. My friend Cody Axon that I do a different podcast with, I train with. We've been friends for a while. So he shoots limited also. So I'm like, hey, Ben, if you're going to go to this, you need to sign up for limited. And let me troll him a little bit. So
all right. So I did do that. I did sign up for limited. And then I thought about it. I was like, it would be kind of a good idea for me just to do a limited concentration for the whole month of June. So aside from some work stuff, I didn't really touch my production guns at all. I just shot limited for the whole month in training and classes, just the whole time. Which was, we could talk about that another time. But yeah, that was what I did. So I signed up in limited. Sure enough, a day after signing up, I get a message from Cody on Facebook. He said, "Hey Ben, are you shooting these matches?"
I think
And
he
thought
said.
about-
He said, "Are you coming for my section match wins?"
I think
believe
he
was
may
the
have said that,
verbiage.
but
Yeah.
and I just thought about it. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I'm just like, I'm signed up for the matches. I'm just gonna say no. I'm not coming and see what happens. So that's what I did, and then I told Joel to go along with it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yep. So then I get a message from him like, "How'd you set this up?" Asking me all this kind of questions. How did you orchestrate this? I'm like, "Well, you just have to know the right people, man." And so he's like, "Well, that's really a good one." And then like to complete the joke, I said, "Yeah, the only thing I messed up on was I should have told Ben about this joke so he could have went along with it." So then Cody's like, "Oh yeah, that really would have been good." So at this point, I've got him sold. So, so then I think we do on this podcast, but maybe it was a couple weeks later. Ben brought up going to the match. So then Cody's confused. He's like, "Well, I don't know if he's going or not going." Then Cody like texts me after the day that drops, like, "So is Ben going or not?" I'm like, "Why don't you text him and ask him?" He said, I don't know who to believe right now." He's like, "I give up." So what? So then Ben was here for classes. I'm like, "Hey Ben, I'll see you in a couple weeks, or maybe I won't." This whole time I'm talking about, the other guys stayed with me. They stayed at my house too. After the match on Saturday, so I'm only mentioning those three names. He's like, "Yeah, I kept waiting for you to slip up and say Ben's name too." I'm like, "Nope." So then Ben decides to come train with me, and we have a social media blackout.
yeah, social media blackout.
Yes. So then Ben came down and trained with me Wednesday and Thursday.
Yep, we did shoot a little bit.
And I asked Cody if he was going to be training that week. I'm like, "Hey, what days are you thinking about training? Maybe I'll try to meet you." Well, sure enough, those were times that we weren't at the range. And and then Friday that morning, Ben left my house about 2 hours before I left Cody's. So Ben got to the range. He'd already walked the stages. He'd already left. And when
That's true. Yeah.
So when we get there, and then one of our friend Greg, he walks up and goes, "Hey, did you guys see Ben yet?" Like, I don't know why that's the first words out of his mouth. So I'm like, I just start laughing. I'm like, I'll play this off. And so I go, Greg, I'm like, "That's hilarious." I'm like, "Cody doesn't know whether to believe you or not right now."
Oh no.
Have we lost Joel?
Yeah, Joel's stuck.
That's okay. Joel's not that important to this.
And I've got the Australian internet, man.
Oh, what? You can't hear me?
No,
No.
you're back.
Oh.
So anyway, yeah. So the troll went on, and then some people at the range kind of spilled their guts about it. But
Then Cody was kind of like on to maybe something was going on, but he wasn't sure.
So you had him going for a couple of days.
Yeah,
had him going for like 6 weeks.
it was a long time. And then and then Cody at that point, he just gave up all hope. He's like, "I don't really care. If Ben's there, he's there. Maybe he's not." And then we go to dinner, and who do you think walks in the door? My friend Ben with his terrible haircut comes strolling up to the front door.
Don't be jealous, Joel. It's fantastic.
Joel, I reckon it looked good on you, man.
No,
Yeah, did
negative.
you think?
Yeah, I reckon.
With the hair kind of flowing behind me as I'm running through stages, it's
Uh-huh.
pretty good.
Yeah, I looked on my dining room table. I'm like, "Ben, is that a hairdryer?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have to bring that. My hair takes too long to dry."
Yeah, it does. So like, if I need it dry in a hurry, I do have a hair dryer now. I don't use it. I don't think I used it at all, but you got to be prepared, Joel, if you get a hair emergency.
In case, just in case,
So anyway, we had some fun, and then so we shot 2 section matches back to back.
Great.
They look tough. They look like tough matches. Looking at the results there.
I would say, yeah, the matches were both tough, but for different reasons. Is that a fair way of putting it, Joel?
Yeah, Oklahoma had some very far. What was that far shot? Maybe a 25-yard or a 30-yard partial?
I mean, just that, but there was tough shots on pretty much every stage in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At some point, you had to take either a long or tight shot, and most of the other shots would kind of lend themselves to cruising through the stage, to keeping moving. So there's a lot of shooting on the move, and the activated targets were actually kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of them were kind of hard there, or you at least had to think about it. There was nothing obvious there.
Yeah, there was that one video you posted up that had that pretty aggressive activating order.
Yeah, I did that. Nobody else tried that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not in our
That was
squad.
pretty
Anyway.
impressive.
Yeah. So the Sean's referring to a popper that activated two movers simultaneously, and it was not easy for people to get them both quickly.
No, that looked tough.
So Oklahoma was tough for that. Great Plains. What was tough about that, Joel?
Wobbly bridge.
Yeah, the wobbly bridge was interesting. There was a stage that was that had some really tough shots on it. I mean, even on our squad with like 7 or 8 GMs on there, I think maybe three guys in the squad walked away without penalties on that stage, just due to the distance and difficulty of the shooting. I mean, I shot that stage like a little bitch. I mean, I shot like a puss bag.
There's what, 6 targets, I think, partial to hard. The 4 in the middle and then 1 on each end.
Yeah, there was some tough shots. There was one lady on our squad shot the stage and looked like she was going to cry after with the penalty count as high as it was, and I was like, "Geez, don't feel bad. Like not too many people are walking away from this one without a problem."
It's happening to everyone. Yeah,
everyone was eating the penalties there.
Yeah. So it was good. I think that probably the toughest part of the weekend, and this wasn't just tough for us; it was tough for everybody. Was the weather conditions. It was very hot out. I mean, I would say as hot as it gets in the Midwest. Is that fair, Joel?
Yeah.
Basically as it gets.
I don't know if you go off what degrees or Celsius or what, but it's like 100. It was over 110 heat index here. So like the feels like, and it was humid. So like a lot of moisture in the air. I mean, I brought 3 small coolers with me to the Sunday match. We were through the first cooler, Ben, by the end of like the 4th stage or 3rd stage. And Ben was like, "Is this it? Are we out?" I'm like, "No, bro. Like we have 2 more of those." Cause I mean, we're just constantly drinking like water and, sports drinks and stuff the whole time. It was hot.
It was very hot. No doubt.
Yeah. Slippery gun.
Yeah. So, that was what we did with the weekend. So, that pretty much covers that topic, Joel, for both of us.
Yeah. So you've been training up with your limited gun, and now you're going back to production. Is that correct?
You want me to talk about shooting limited for a while?
I think it would be interesting too.
Okay, so I'd say last year I shot limited for not a lot, and it was always mixed training. So it was usually in the same day I'd be shooting limited and production, and this year I've done it a bit differently. Or this last month I just shot primarily limited, which was good. Really focusing on kind of getting the most I can out of it. I shot a lot of matches, more than I normally do. So the 2 section matches with you, I shot 3 club matches. And by the way, talk throughs for all of those are coming to training group. One of them's already up. There's 1 major match is up, 1 club match is up. The other major match, the other 2 club matches, those things are recorded and they will come up at some point. The problem is I have too much content that I've made, so I have to space it out. Anyway, I was working a lot on shooting limited, kind of maximizing it. And I would say there's 2 components to that for me, which is getting used to the gun itself, which is very similar to my stock 2. A lot of the parts are even the same. But single action only trigger, working the safety when the gun comes out of the holster, mag well with the reloads, different magazine size, different magazine capacity, and obviously more recoil. So there's that, getting used to the gun, and then how to apply those tools to the same stages, which is major scoring, high cap. How does that apply on the stages, or what should I be doing to maximize my hit factors? So a lot of that stuff was done and trained on, and I did a lot of math, and I got a couple of very interesting observations, Joel, if you'd like to hear them.
I would love to. I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah. So the probably the most surprising thing for me is, despite in my brain, like in my heart, shooting limited, like I don't give a fuck how many C's I shoot. I do not care.
Right.
Truly, it doesn't matter. I know that mathematically it's basically irrelevant, especially on mean, if the hit factors start going up and if it's risky shooting, it just doesn't pay to sit there and aim all day. And would you like to know something interesting, Joel?
Please tell me.
I'm not sure that I'm dropping any more Charlies than I did with my production gun.
Well, you aren't. And that was why when we were training on, I think it was Thursday, I was like, hey, as a test, like when you're transitioning the gun, like try to shoot. But see, I know bad things can happen when you start to push too hard. But I was like, as soon as you get to like the Charlie zone, when you're swinging into the target, just let it rip. And like you're wired so hard for that even though you really didn't stop the gun on the target at all, I mean, you were just like swinging through, whap, 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 and then swinging off. You were still shooting A's like crazy. I mean, it's wired in you so hard.
Right. So 11 stages at Great Plains section. I had 33 C's.
That's including strong hand and weak hand.
Yeah. 33 C's and 3 D's for the match, which is comparable to the same numbers that I would put up in production.
Yeah.
By comparison, I mean, this was like half as many C's as most of the heavy hitters in production shot at the same match.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that to me is surprising that even though I'm looking at this like truly, I don't care how many C's I shoot. It doesn't bother me walking around getting it scored. I don't care at all. And I still am not dropping that many. So I find that interesting. So like, despite trying to cut loose, it's tough to drop more points. There are a lot of people like the theory from Gaston, who I think he'll be appearing on this show shortly if his travel schedule's any indication. He would say, he'd say push harder until you drop more Charlies. 50% Charlies, 50% alpha, that's fine. But what I'm seeing on actually shooting the stages is I'm still shooting mostly alphas even when I'm, shooting fairly aggressively as far as the pace.
Do you think that's just because it's wired into you so hard? I mean, you've done it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
That's the way you've trained yourself.
Yeah, I've trained myself to shoot a lot of A's fast. Go ahead, Sean. What were you going to say?
Well, you're just so trained at looking to the A zone, so that's just where your eyes go. It would be very hard, habit to break if you're always looking at the A zone to try and even look at the C and rip off the shots earlier.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. A lot of it, the training that we do is a precision of transitions. Like you want to have the gun go exactly where you're looking. And if you're doing that, you're still going to get, the points you want.
Yeah.
So, I agree. So anyway, that was interesting. And then one of the things that makes it hard to shoot real fast in limited is on long or tight shots, letting the gun recover from recoil, which is, since there's a bit more, that's kind of hard to do. So there you go. That's pretty much it as far as my observations. I think the capacity is basically irrelevant.
I was gonna mention that. I agree, because you're gonna go tight on shots either way. If you have like 20 plus 1, you're still gonna shoot to 19 or something before you load. If it's not a
So if you're shooting a 32 round stage, there might be one section of the stage where it's, hey, this section's 20 rounds, and you're like, well, okay, so I have one backup round in a 20 round section of the stage, which would be, essentially no different than shooting production there. So I don't think the capacity is a big deal.
If anything, I don't like that part because you have to. Did you ever have any problems with like seating your mags harder? Because with like production mags, they're loaded at 10. Like you don't have to seat the magazines that hard.
I didn't have any problem with it, but it's been. It's some of the focal points that you have with gun handling training.
Is that something you really trained on?
Yeah, you draw the gun. You've got to be working the safety. Your grip has to be pretty well perfect. Otherwise, the recoil is going to be a problem. And reloading is not easier with a limited gun, in my opinion.
I would agree.
I don't think it's any easier.
Yeah, with the Tanfo though, it's probably as close as you could get to your production gun.
Yeah. So this year's guns actually have a little bit shorter mag wells on them. There's just less material to them, and I prefer those to the big, honking mag wells I was using last year. Like I like the smaller mag wells just because it feels more like my production gun. I don't really need too much of a mag well on there. Just a little something, just a little bit. Doesn't need much.
Well, even shooting your guns, like I load those bad boys up. They fit in my stock 2 holster I already have. And all I have to do is remember to click off the safety and be like very mindful of when the safety's coming off and when I'm pressing the trigger. But other than that, like it was the same as shooting my gun that just kicked a tick more. And it didn't even kick as much as I thought it would. I expected more recoil because like one of my homeboys has the metal framed like 2011 or steel frame, whatever, and it like that to yours, it was fine. I didn't like they're pretty similar.
And you'd have to admit the guns work pretty well.
Guns work awesome. I like the fact that I wouldn't have to send it off to a gunsmith. Like the extractor, you punch a pin out, you throw a new spring and a new extractor in, and like done. So the no fitting is very attractive to me.
Yeah.
Like gunsmithing is not one of my gifts. So
yes, I learned a good bit about how accurate I can shoot, and I think a lot of that'll carry over to regular shooting, where it's like, hey, why don't I just shoot this fast all the time? Why don't I just push it a little bit or ham on it? So yeah, I'm gonna keep going on with that. I enjoyed shooting limited. I think I might do a month of like carry optics next year or something. I don't know. We'll see what I'm feeling. Maybe open. We'll see what guns I can get. Yeah, I'm not super stoked about open just because of having to load the ammo for it, but whatever.
Fair enough.
Well, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, you in open, that'd be interesting.
you'd still be shooting a crazy alpha count.
Yeah. Yeah, you would.
All right, Sean.
All right.
What do you want to talk about, my man?
Well, in IPSC, they're coming up with this new electronic scorecard thing.
All right, so let's walk through this. So have you used Shoot and Score It?
No.
All right, so I think primarily in Europe, there's a popular program called Shoot and Score It. It's very similar to Practice Score in terms of capabilities.
Yep.
In the U.S., we primarily use Practice Score.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing you're talking about, this is an IPSC-driven thing.
Yeah, it's a iRoller invention, I'm pretty sure.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, iRoller's developed this.
That's the International Range Officers Association, for those that don't know.
Yeah.
May not. Okay.
And it's server based, and it is basically just electronic scorecard, like the old paper scoring, pretty much, but electronic. Except,
so what's good about it, would you say?
Well, I mean, the good part is it's electronic, I guess, but that's about as far as I can see as good as Practice Score. Like with Practice Score, I mean, you've already got the infrastructure there. It works. All the data can be kept online and viewed, which is quite good. I like how Practice Score does its statistics and counts up all your stuff. ESS currently doesn't do this. They reckon it's going to get better. I think it's just a little weird that they're trying to invent some new scoring system when we already got programs in place. It just seems a little redundant.
What's the goal behind developing it? Are they charging for it, or what's the goal behind?
I think they just want to own it. It just seems strange. Like Practice Score is free to use, so it confuses me why they would, put a lot of effort into it, but it makes it a little bit annoying because there's some local clubs around my area that were using Practice Score as a trial, but now have gone, okay, we're not going to use Practice Score anymore because we're going to wait for this ESS system. Because it still hasn't completely rolled out. We've been having trial periods of it since late last year. We've been a couple of majors in Australia that've been running it. Now it's worked pretty good, but it's not like the scores aren't as available as quick with Practice Score with your updates. And it's all kind of locked up. It's a little bit annoying too when you need a reshoot or something. There's multiple pin numbers you need to put in and get the range master down to punch his pin code in. So it can actually.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's tied up matches a little bit.
Well, I mean, you're not launching a nuclear bomb, but I understand them trying to like avoid against cheating, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I think what they're trying to avoid is like, you know, the editing that can happen in practice score.
Yeah.
But you know, like, it's still monitorable. Like, but you can lock practice score when you at the match as well. So it just frustrates me that, you know, we've already got practice score, which is a good program that we use at my club, even for our bigger matches, and it works great. But yeah, not being able to be allowed to use practice score for larger matches because this is coming out seems a little.
Not being allowed by who, do you think?
So I think the management here in Australia, they're waiting for this ESS system because that's going to be approved by IROA, and I don't know why. Like, practice score is, we can ask to use it from the regional director, and he'll generally give you the thumbs up to use practice score for your match. But like the fact that that's not the standard thing at the moment,
strange.
Because like up until the end of last year, all our major competitions we used the like duplicate or triplicate score sheets with pen and paper.
Oh boy.
So,
oh boy.
Pretty much, like, I've been shooting for like 4 or 5 years, and like even at like level 2 local comps, we used to use paper score sheets.
So you have a data entry person then that's sitting there with stacks of paper entering it in?
Correct.
And then you have to verify their score against to make sure they actually typed it in correctly.
Correct.
Because you could have error writing it down on the paper, then you could have error entering it by the computer. Like the more hands it changes through, the more times you'd have the possibility of something getting entered incorrectly.
Yeah, so you had to be pretty, sure of your score as a competitor. It was, a little bit hard because you'd have to like follow the RO, make sure you get the score, check the score sheet yourself. We used to take a photo of the sheet and then go and compare it to once the scores get posted. So it's. But so like the electronic score sheet system would be better currently than the paper system, absolutely. But
you're annoyed with management that they're making you use this thing and not practice score.
Yeah, and it's not as good as shit comparatively at the moment. Like, at least wait till it's finished and then use it.
Yeah, but don't be the beta tester. Yeah.
I've been running training, and
I have only one objection to practice score, and that's I have a few minor complaints with the interface or whatever, but the main problem with practice score is that and now, at least in the US, practice score is very, very important for running matches. Like, it's integral to running matches, I would say. Mm-hmm. People commonly use it. Hey, you're going to register through practice score. We're going to, do all the scoring there, blah, 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 all this shit in practice score. And practice score really isn't controlled or owned by USPSA or IPSC. Yeah. So I can see why they'd want to make their own thing. It's just,
because
strange.
It would be crippling if practice score, for whatever reason, the structuring changed or the vision for the company changed. USPSA would be a bit crippled until they had a different, like, something else set up. What would you? I mean, if you had a match this weekend and you found out you couldn't use it, what would you do?
You'd be,
yeah.
SOL, man. You'd have a problem.
Print paper score sheets.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, which is why they want their own one for, But I mean, any local comp should just be able to use practice score without.
Well, the best practice would be to build their own competitor to practice score, and then be kind of like let you use both, and do that thing, and then they have like their thing is in use a little bit. Maybe they use it at nationals, and it's in use and it's ready to go in case practice score gets out of line. The practice score is getting shitted up with. The practice score has ads, and there's definitely stupid shit on practice score. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But like, even if they came to an agreement with the with USPSA or IPSC or something, you pay a license fee per year. They could do something like that, I guess. But I don't know. But just seems a little bit annoying where you're using a system that's not finished for like major competitions at the moment.
Yeah, that's
something that's better.
Or at least something that's proven. How about that?
And works. Yeah, exactly. Something's proven.
Well, a legitimate complaint, sir. Thank you. Let's go to some questions, or at least one. I've noticed I have a flinch when I shoot live fire. I can shoot from reset and focus on my trigger pull, but so far it won't go away. In dry fire, I don't have this problem. Even when rapidly dry firing a double action revolver with a laser, I don't notice the flinch. What should I be doing to resolve this? I've tried ball and dummy and it helps, but so far hasn't been enough to break this bad habit. All right, new guy, Sean.
He needs to do a trigger control at speed.
Yeah. Tell me why.
Well, he obviously doesn't know how. He's anticipating that recoil, right?
But he said it doesn't happen in dry fire.
Well, is he being completely honest with himself in his dry fire?
All right.
Because,
Sean, I really like where your head's at. You had the same answer I would give. So this is what I would say in a roundabout way to this guy, or I guess what I'm going to say. If you're not having this problem in dry fire, you're not doing your dry fire correctly. Your dry fire is not accurately simulating what's happening in live fire. So we know by definition the dry fire is wrong in some way. The dry fire drill that is the best, works for the most people, is the one that Sean cited. It's trigger control at speed. Essentially what you're going to do is point your gun at a target, touch the trigger at a command, or like you decide to pull the trigger fast. What's in the drill written in there is you get a beep, so you get a random beep, and then you pull the trigger quickly. And the idea is you decide to shoot a shot, you pull the trigger fast, and usually you push into the gun or flinch or some type of shit like that. And then that drill will expose that problem and give you an opportunity to work through it. Work on keeping your hands still and not pushing the gun around as you pull the trigger. Right. So anyway, that'd be what I have to say about it. What do you think? What do you think, Sean? Does that sum it up?
That sums it up. I mean, it works. I mean, I teach a lot of new guys at our club, and one of their biggest problems is that recoil anticipation. And you show them trigger control at speed in the dry fire area, and they're just like, whoa, yeah, now I can see it. I'm losing that front sight. And it only takes a couple of goes at it. Usually they, are aware of it, and it does help immediately. But I feel like, you got to be honest with your dry fire, otherwise you're not helping yourself at all.
Yeah, and I was just picking on you. You're on the exact right path. What I would say is they're not doing the drill correctly, is what I think. Like when they say they do it in dry fire, where you get the beep, and then maybe you're already prepping it, or when you hear the beep, you're like, oh, that's my signal to start pressing the trigger, and then they start like their slow, deliberate press. And then what I would say is like, that's not like, by the time the beep is done, you need to be done pressing the trigger. You're going way too slow. Because they're like, it's like beep, and it's like, okay, now it's time to press the trigger. It's like, no. Like you can't prep it, your finger's off the trigger, you hear the beep, like you immediately hit the trigger. And then once they start doing it that way, then all of a sudden, like, whoa, problems show up. But if you let them press the trigger on their own time, they won't have that pre-ignition flinch. So I was just picking on you, but yeah, you're absolutely, I think, on the money also.
I just get very, very suspicious when people are like, well, I do the dry fire and it's right in dry fire. And I'm like, nah, fuck you. No, you're not doing it right. I don't say it like that, but that's what I say.
Yeah, like look at like if you have your front sight like at a target, you're like, I'm focused on the front sight. And then when that front sight, like it blips a little bit, like, oh, it just goes to the left. Oh, it just goes to the right a little bit. Oh, it just goes down a little bit. I'm like, you don't understand. Like that matters a lot at 25 yards. So that, oh, it just blips a little bit. It's like, that's not okay. You don't want it to move out. So like any little bit of movement is going to amount to a lot downrange.
That's right.
Well,
so he needs to go dry fire more.
Indeed, no, he has to do it properly.
This is, yes.
Just more of the same might actually make them worse. That's when a guy gets to the point where they like can't be fixed, you know? And you're like, shit, dude.
Yeah. Happens.
All right. Yes. Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. I do appreciate it. It's nice to have another face, a fresh face on the podcast. Joel, thank you for, being the steady booty call. You know what I mean? And listeners, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, go to benstegger.com. Send me your question. We'd love to talk about it and tell you how wrong your dry fire is or whatever other disparaging shit Joel's going to say.
How dare you, sir?